Thank you for cosplaying this. Oh my god, I had no idea.
I didn't think I'd make it to the show on time. I was in Triskelion, man. Those guys just did not want to let me go. I was like, I have a podcast, guys. I have a podcast.
I was wondering who was going to.
So dedicated.
You need the collar with the cool.
I know.
Which herd are you? Which herd are you a part of? Was that what he said? It was herds, right? Like or something like that.
I'm
crazy.
worth 69 quatlus if you get my drift.
Not 47.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. We have a, I guess I can be a provider, since I'm the host of the show. We have Triskelion Kirk in the house. I love that you even got the blonde wig. That's amazing.
For 45 minutes, 45 minutes ago, I was like, wait a minute, I can't do that real quick.
We have a full house here today. We also have quite a few folks. I think Father's going to be along too. Oh crap! Did I send him the link? Yes, I did. I'm pretty sure I sent him the link. So he'll be along. He'll be along soon. And Jill, I'm glad you like the starting music. So Captain RG D wants. We'll start off with a few questions. Oh no, we are not going to start off with a few questions. Sorry, I'd like to introduce everyone to the newest member of the. You distracted me, Ruben, with the harness and everything. So I'd like to welcome our newest addition to the panel today, which is the Scotch Trekker. Hello, Dan. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks.
How are you doing today?
Fine, but I'm just I was sort of waiting to see if anyone would bring up the line, 15 quatlus for the newcomer or whatever.
Yeah, no, we should have done a better job. You did it. There. That's awesome.
15.
As long as it gets brought up by someone.
I'd pay 10,000 quatlus for you to mute your video. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. Dan, whenever
I'm Kirk today. If he refilmed the episode,
it's true.
I'm William Shatner today.
He should totally redon this outfit, in my opinion. I think he should totally.
He's super hairy, from what I understand, too.
Yeah.
Do you know how old he is?
He's 90. What is?
He's 90.
Now? 90. Yeah.
90.
Would you want to see that?
Yeah. Okay, Trekkie. All bodies are beautiful, bro. Come on. But I can understand when I was in my younger years, I was also judgmental of older folks. But
I want to say thank you to Braxton. He said I looked amazing. I look amazing.
Yes. Yes, I would like to see. Actually, to answer your question in earnest, I would like to see William Shatner don the harness again. So, welcome, Father. How are you? He's like, I'm on the wrong stream.
Is this Starfleet?
Wait, he left. You scared Father. He's gone now.
This is still PG-13, right?
Yes, it's fine.
By the way, this is my wife's back brace plus the belt to a Zap Brannigan from Futurama costume.
That's amazing. You can do
anything.
Zap
Brannigan wig too.
Very resourceful.
As I've learned from the cosplay community on Twitter, you can do anything with the just everyday things. It's amazing. Shout out to Kellen, by the way. Also Ali and a lot of people, Dadmiral here, who does cosplays as well. So there's so many cosplayers. Yeah.
Oh, if you think
one
about
day
it,
I will
Jordy's
join.
little visor thing was just those hair clips.
Yeah,
spray
the hair
painted,
clips.
you know what I mean?
So it's pretty cool.
Just
Father, welcome back.
Howdy.
We thought you.
How many quatlus for me, Fathery? I'm asking for 69. We've had an offer of 15.
Oh, my head disappeared.
Oh wow.
Why is my head disappeared? I gotta go back to the other format. All right, great. Fathery, welcome. By the way, Fathery, meet Dan, who's our newest addition to the panel this week. Who's going to join us for this discussion. I was just going to say, Dan, one of our traditions here on Starfleet Boy is we'd like to, if you could just give us a brief, your Star Trek story. We'd love to hear it. How'd you fall in love with Star Trek? What do you like about it? And who the heck are you?
Still asking myself that question, 30 years, 38 years later. Who am I? I guess I've ruined this. But yeah, like the first, I posted actually on Twitter earlier today. The first episodes and the first portrayal that really impressed me about Star Trek was in the TNG episode The Defector, and it was like Salam. Oh, I can't remember the actor's name, but Alador Jarok, the Romulan.
Yeah, I can't remember
the
his
main
name
Romulan.
either, but he's a really good actor. Yeah.
Yeah, and I posted it just earlier today. And it's just sometimes, occasionally some names just go out of your mind. But, yeah, that entire episode was like, I thought was really cool. And basically it was like just on like a VHS tape that was like left sort of accidentally in the VCR machine that my family bought when I was a kid, when I was 9 years old.
Very cool.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Like a magical VHS tape. It's like the start of an 80s kids movie. It changed your life.
Yeah, what's up?
Sorry, I have an out of context question, but I watched The Defector recently, and after finishing my Deep Space Nine rewatch recently, the Admiral looked similar to Dr. Mora from Deep Space Nine. Odo's he found Odo. Are they played by the same actor?
Oh, I think
Yeah,
they
and
are, actually.
I think
Yeah.
he also appeared in
Played a Klingon too, didn't he? I feel like he was a
Yeah, I think
Klingon
he
at some
did.
point as well.
There's like a late season 1 episode where he's in it with Neelix.
His name's James Sloyan, by the way, if no one said it already.
That's
Yeah.
it. Thanks. So yeah, he's had
But
quite
yeah,
a few
he's-
appearances on track.
He's been on TNG, and he played, let's see here. Where is
What's
it?
the Voyager episode I'm thinking of? Chital or something like that?
Speaking of people who've been on a lot of Star Trek, so has, oh gosh, now I can't remember his name.
Joseph
the-
Ruskin?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been, he played Galt in this episode. He's been on a ton of episodes of Star Trek as well.
Yeah,
And
he's in 6 episodes of Trek and 1 movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, we have Star Trek legend
From
yeah.
from
TOS
this
to
episode.
Enterprise.
Dr. Mora is who you're thinking of, Orgoi Trekkie, right?
Yeah.
And so he was in 2 episodes on DS9, and then Voyager he played Jetrel, which we all know, and then
That's it, yeah.
on TNG he was Kimtar on Firstborn. That's right. He wasn't he? Was that Alexander from the future, right? Spoilers.
Kimtar.
Well,
Yeah, what
on
was
the
his-
Next
Any
Generation.
relation to Kimchi?
Kimchi, and the defector, and the defector, of course, he was Admiral Jarok. So, yeah, pretty cool. Kim Tar, it's like tartar sauce. Kim tartar sauce. Who wants to give the summary for this episode today? Do you want to do it, Dan?
Not me. I did last week. I'm not doing
Yeah,
it
you
again.
did last week.
I'm always up for it, but I haven't seen this in a little while, so I'm not sure how.
I
But
kind of
if Dan would like to, that absolutely. I
yeah,
mean,
if Dan doesn't want to do it, then I kind of miss Fathery's
whatever.
summary. So I'd like to hear his. Dan, would you like to go for the summary?
I'm interested in hearing Father's.
Okay.
Oh.
Would you care to do the summary, Fathery?
Sure. Well, Kirk, Uhura, and Chekhov are about to beam down to the planet Gamma 2. They step onto the transporter pad, and then they vanish in a way not typical with the functioning of the transporter. But they are instead redirected to a... Sorry, that was my phone. To a planet in a trinary star system, where they are captured by a dude named Galt, who has this cool red thing behind his neck. And he's going to enslave them and use them as arena gladiators, and also use them as breeding stock for more slaves to fight in these gladiator battles. And they provide entertainment for 3 brains in a jar called the Providers, who are obsessed with gambling and betting on who will win and what the outcomes will be. And so while they're there, Kirk seduces a woman in a silver bikini and makes her see that there's more to life than just being an obedient slave. and he's eventually able to manipulate the providers into taking a high stakes bet on the freedom of the slaves. They're called thralls, and
We
he
happen to have
wins.
a thrall in the house today, so that's
Oh, we
pretty cool.
do?
Yep.
He wins the big fight, the big climactic fight against an Endorian and a big caveman dude and this other guy with no pants on, and
The guy who has to have his mouth like that the whole time.
he seduces the
We
green
hate, that's
chick.
Lars. That's Lars, by the way. We hate Lars.
Yeah,
Lars is awful,
Lars Ulrich from Metallica, and in the end, he has established that the thralls are free and they can create a self-governing
governing
self-governing society.
They can govern themselves.
And,
Exactly.
and Spock, Scotty, and McCoy show up on the Enterprise, and they're like, "Hey, we found you," and so they can beam up and then go on to their next adventure in the next episode. And that's the
Oh,
end.
that's excellent. That is neat and to the
it's
point.
really-
I love
right,
that. Great.
Very good, very good. So okay, so I guess we could just go on ahead and talk about it. I had no memory of like the meat of this episode. I only remembered like the kinky fetish stuff.
There's a
and,
lot of
like-
meat in it. A lot
Yeah,
of meat.
that's true. But I only remembered like I think this episode had like a profound effect on my kinks and fetishes because I love harnesses. Like it's a thing.
I think I
It's
cured
like-
you of that. I'm pretty sure I cured you of that today.
No, Ruben.
So how I thought of you when I was watching this episode this morning when Kirk is in the harness for the first time. I was just thinking like, God damn it, Starfleet boy! I'll never be able to like watch this and not think of you now. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot for that.
That's exactly what I want. That's amazing. And then
You're
of
gonna
course
be at
we
some
have
club,
like
like some guy's gonna come through all the people wearing the harness, and you're just gonna see me like.
the first time I went to a club where people were wearing that, the first thought I had was like, whoa, this is like Star Trek. It was pretty awesome, so I felt like I was home. But anyways, and then I didn't remember, I thought this episode was going to be camp and cheesy, which it was, but it also has like a pretty interesting concept that I had completely forgotten about, like with the providers and like, the thalls and like just like that idea of like these like insane brains. Basically they're insane brains that have like lost they're supposed to be extremely intelligent, but they're focused so much on like these games that they've completely lost their like minds, and that's all they put their like intelligence to. And so I was like, wow, Star Trek, like you managed to like there's something there, and so I was very happy with that. What did you all think?
Yeah, I think as a kid I really did not like this episode. This is one I would tend to avoid because of the campiness that you're talking about. And I think you can trace a lot of the sort of stereotypical tropes about Kirk and Star Trek to this episode. The intergalactic lover boy and some of the kind of poor production values, especially the scene with the providers. But that said, it's kind of a hoot to watch in a way. I think that, like you said, the concept is interesting. Having the idea of these incredibly intelligent beings, but they're concerned with something very kind of mundane or very sort of earthbound. And I mean, they're a little bit like the Telosians, who, were just interested in living through their prisoners, but having the added aspect of them being gamblers is kind of, it's different anyway, whether you like it or not. But not an episode I sought out. There's definitely some cringeworthy scenes in it, and I never a huge fan of Angelique Pettyjohn's performance. But that said, it's original series Star Trek, and I'm going to watch that no matter what it is. So
Very cool. What did you think, Thal? And only speak briefly, or else I'll have to, provide you with pain through the collar that I've got you on here.
I will, Galt. Aside from them retconning that it was me there and not Chekhov, like that was really insulting to me. I really feel the filmmakers screwed that up. But that's okay.
it was supposed to be Sulu.
It was supposed to be Sulu. He was delayed. He was really excited. He thought it was going to be like a good moment for his character. but he couldn't get back to LA from Georgia, I think it was, right? Where he was filming. He's been filming the Green Berets like pretty much all season, so like he's like hardly in these last few episodes. But sorry, Ruben, go on.
Yeah, I remember as a kid liking this episode because it's kind of goofy and whatever. I guess action packed.
There's a lot of Kirk Fu, and the fights are not terrible. They're not so bad. Like especially like that last one, even though he does step off of his yellow boundary like tons of times, and they never take away his weapon. But still, I mean, like.
Well, it's interesting you say that because the director Gene Nelson, not Joseph Pevney or Mark Daniels, who were alternating this season, along with Ralph Sineski, he had a dance background. And, he never directed any other episode, but he was chosen in part because they knew they were going to have a lot of like fight choreography, although that didn't help keep Shatner on the right color, whatever it was. But I feel like
he seems like he's trying.
No, he's trying.
He never gets like a whole foot into the blue.
It's
absolutely.
It's like
I'm being a nitpicker. It's true.
I'm maybe a bit different. I didn't think this was the dullest episode ever, but I just didn't like how a lot of the subject matter was treated. Usually when Star Trek presents ideas like sport being kind of used as
athletes.
Yeah, sport being used as a slavery and a joke almost. These brains getting their kick out of it.
Well, gladiators this is kind of like how gladiators were, right? Like, weren't they slaves essentially?
They were slaves. Yeah.
This becomes a major TV trope.
Yeah, they was. I mean, they were slaves, but some of them did earn their freedom, but primarily they were slaves.
It's also
Like
something
Manu
that
Bennett.
TOS seems to lean on a lot, which is, I mean, I can see why, because it makes getting into a story very easy, where you have these gods, whether it's the brains, whether it's Trelane or whatever, some sort of god that's ultimate power that has some sort of fetish, basically, and then Kirk and crew have to deal with it. Like
we've just been admonished.
For sure.
Guys, we've just been admonished, and it says let Robbie finish.
Oh yeah, but come on, interrupting's allowed, and Robbie, of course you're gonna finish. Go on, carry on.
Well, I could leave little bits about what I think about the episode throughout, and we can all get our say. But I think I don't particularly find sports interesting to watch in the first place, so that's not really the episode's fault. I don't enjoy seeing people being whipped. It's not my kind of thing, or just any kind of sports really. So that I'm a bit biased in that sense why I dislike the episode. But even just scenes like the selection, and it's kind of implied, at least I got the implication, that Uhura was raped.
I'm glad you brought that scene up. Sorry, go on.
And it's quite an uncomfortable scene because you just see her shadow kind of flailing and her screaming. And then there is nothing further on that. It's like window dressing for a good Star Trek episode, the bones of a good Star Trek episode, kind of dealing with the repercussions of that in some way, but it doesn't. It just it's like filler, and something so horrible shouldn't just be like.
I actually don't think he was successful.
No,
That's my read on it.
Oh, okay.
But I do think that it's a very scary scene. Like, what do you guys think?
I want to just say to that though. Like, I agree with Robbie, but at the same time, like, if you think about the time this is being made, just having that is a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, just having even that insinuation that happens to women in a TV show on primetime TV in the 60s, that's a big deal. I know they, it's similar to how, like, later on, how TNG had that episode, The Outcast, that could have gone further. Like, if we look at it back on it now, you do that episode today, you could go way further with that episode.
What was? Can you remind me what happened?
The one with the unisexual, the Janai, that they're not male or female, but sometimes
right.
they are.
Right. Yes, thank you.
So it's kind of like. I totally agree. Like, it's very surface level, but when I started thinking about it, like, at that time, it's hardcore. Like it's like whoa, like you're insinuating possible rape. No one really thought about those things.
It
like,
was attempt. It was
Yeah.
definitely attempted. It was definitely attempted rape. So that's
mean, the
exactly
fact-
what was happening. Yeah.
The fact that they had it.
I think Jill in the comments was got an interesting take, saying like, I don't think she was raped. I think he only grabbed her arms and then backed off.
Right.
I think it was a bit more than that. I think he was going for it, but she fought him off. I think
Yeah,
she fought him off.
Uhura, he didn't know who he was messing with.
I agree.
And that comes up a lot too, is like, apparently Andorians are way more submissive, which is surprising considering how we come to know Andorians later in Enterprise. But apparently humans are the toughest to kind of submit that these guys have encountered, and they're surprising them always with their like fighting. So it's a little bit interesting that these other species. Quick sidebar question: are any of the others, like, is Shauna or Tamoon, are they like, do we know what their species are? Or, like, do they ever come up? Father, do you know anything about those guys?
No, I think the only one of these aliens that's ever seen again outside of this episode is the Andorian.
And that
But
tall
I
guy
have
was not a
one-
Rigelian? Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's what. Yeah, go. That's what I thought. He was a Kalar,
Okay.
like in the cage, but
Yeah.
they never say that. But he has the same kind of.
Okay,
Right.
one of the Rigel. There's like 3 different Rigelian species in Star Trek that show.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
there's so many planets in the Rigel system.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true. There's like 20 planets, but I mean, just can I say one thing quick about
Yeah,
the Earth
sure,
thing?
sure.
I mean, I agree with Zach that the fact that they showed it at all was fairly unusual and risque for TV at the time, and they did 2 other times in Star Trek, I think, better on The Enemy Within and also in Who Mourns for Adonias. But the problem I have with this scene, and here I agree a little bit more with Robbie, is that it feels fairly gratuitous. They don't return to it. I mean, you kind of get feeling like, well, we need to write one moment with Uhura and one moment with Chekhov. And they did. And the moments are so different, that almost also makes them dissonant, where Chekhov is being played for this kind of goofy come on from Tamoon that he doesn't like, and then Uhura is being flat out, it's attempted rape. I don't think it works that well. I mean, it would have been nice if I think she fought him off also. I mean, that's always been my interpretation of it, but I never thought it was a great inclusion in the episode.
Yeah, it's like one of those scenes. It's like both of those scenes like have like on paper or in attempt, they have like strong. They're like they have strong and possibly powerful messages, but they just fall flat because of the way like it's executed. Although again, another element that was really cool in that scene was Kirk's concern. Cake is Eternal is pointing that out. It was great to see how concerned Kirk was. Like, he seemed really like helpless, and like that was a really nice kind of
It's true.
moment with Shatner, kind of like almost like, I don't know, there's anguish. You could like really hear it. I liked his take on that. And then the thing that bothered me, I thought it was cool that we had this like kind of semi-androgynous character, and this opportunity. Again, another cool, possibly like really edgy thing for the 60s to do. And then Chekhov's reaction to it just like killed it for me, because I definitely don't think that's how like future people would respond, like so kind of like immaturely with like decide, he keeps calling them miss, and then but of course like
And that
they
kind of
didn't
bothered
have-
me a little bit too, because I like an episode or 2 ago, like 2 episodes in a row, Chekhov is like a horny dude who seems to be just wanting. He seems to be wanting to become Kirk at some point in his life. Like he's I forget which episode it was, a few episodes ago, where he's like all about like, yeah, let me hook up with the girl,
The apple.
And all of a sudden, here's this girl
Yeah.
throwing himself at her, and he's just like, oh, I don't know, maybe he was too intimidated by.
In the original
Dominant woman.
screenplay, she was supposed to be furry.
Oh, interesting.
Not
Maybe
a
that was
furry,
the point.
furry.
Maybe Chekhov was put off by a dominant woman, like a not a dominant, but like an aggressive woman. Like a woman who's not afraid to kind of. He's always the aggressor, so to speak.
Right. Well, yeah, no, that could be too.
This
Yeah,
episode
also,
reminded me of Futurama too, because of Snoo Snoo. Did you guys ever watch Futurama?
No, I haven't
Snoo
seen
Snoo
Futurama.
I was like, they need the Snoo Snoo in this episode so bad.
Yeah.
Is that the alien creature?
The
They-
Amazonians.
Yeah, they're like
Oh,
these
okay.
giant Amazonians who keep having sex with all the characters over and over and over.
They're like these giant 9 feet tall women.
And then Zap
Oh,
has the
yeah,
lines like,
yeah.
"The mind is
They're-
willing, but the body is soft and weak."
I guess I have to watch Futurama. There's so many shows I have to watch. I wish I could travel back in time and watch them when they aired when I had time, but it's hard now.
I thought that both the Uhura scene was quite shocking, but there's also another scene later in this episode where I found it like also shocking, where Kirk actually like punches Shanna.
Oh yeah, that was
knocks her
another
unconscious.
It's true. Like,
whoa.
could you have figured out another way? Like, he's like,
Yeah.
it's a kiss and a
It's not the
punch.
first time he's done it, though, is it? It's not the first time he's done it. He's done it a couple of times.
He's one punch Kirk. Just whenever the script needs a bad guy to go to sleep, they either a punch to the face or a karate chop or a Vulcan nerve pinch, and then
It's true.
night.
Yeah, it gets a lot of bad. But is that really less realistic than like in the Kelvin movies where you got guys dropping 400 feet and rolling on the ground and getting up and they're not injured at all? I mean, I'd argue just one of those stupid kind of bunny punches to the back of the neck, knocking someone out is perhaps more realistic.
I happen to know this universe.
You gotta give Star Trek a little credit. They have a little variety because most shows just do the bump on the back of the head, knock somebody out.
Right.
Star Trek, mixes it up a little bit. At least
That's true.
You got a few options.
I happen to know that this uniform has a special technology that pads all these falls from great
Prevents
heights.
broken bones and
it
bruising.
does. Marcelo, any thoughts about this episode?
I really liked the Gladiator Parable in this episode, and it kind of bothered me a little bit that Kirk was sort of playing his gladiator trainer woman against herself to sort of get him out of the situation. But I have to agree with Robbie. The insinuation of rape kind of really bothered me, and the fact that after we see that initial scene of Uhura being raped in the cell, it's kind of glossed over and it's not really ever addressed again. And I did think that the reveal of the sort of colored brains at the end was kind of interesting, but I think that with a little bit more thought, perhaps this episode could have been executed a little bit better. But I do understand that in the time that it was made, but I thought it was entertaining and fun for the most part.
And I'm just speculating here, but at the moment, from a screenplay structure point of view, at the moment, all that happens, they need to kind of raise the stakes and keep adding tension. And so maybe they were just like, oh, you pseudo shadow rape, make it more threatening, make it all more tense, and no one really, it was the 60s, so everybody's like, whatever,
Also,
just, we don't need to delve any deeper into it. Like,
Also,
just the threat of that.
Yeah, and also you mentioned that like Kirk's kind of like decisions, but like I think all those things kind of, to me, like those are reasons why it justifies his like behavior and kind of his like choices, because they're in a really desperate situation. Like it is literally like life or death for them, and like they've been kidnapped and they're being made to submit to the will of these providers, and they're everything. He doesn't even know if the Enterprise is going to find them. Like he doesn't know what's going to happen, so he has to like do anything he can to keep his crew and himself alive. And I think that that's the kind of the raw part of the uncomfortable part of this episode, is that everyone's having things happen to them that are uncomfortable, but also having to do things that are uncomfortable. And I always kind of defend Kirk's actions, but
I think part of my problem is that this is the first time I've ever seen this episode, and I'm not like the biggest TOS fan on the planet, and I'm kind of looking through this episode through a modern sensibility. So
right, which can't be helped yet.
Right.
Yeah, it hasn't aged well.
Right,
Yeah,
I think that's where I'm faulting. The other thing that I particularly enjoyed was McCoy's squabbling with Spock on the Enterprise about how to handle the search for the crew on the planet. I particularly like when McCoy, just gets to the edge of calling Spock a son of a bitch, basically.
He green blooded.
Yeah, I feel they glossed over too much. I mean, they brought up slavery, and you thought, okay, you could really make a really good vehicle about slavery on this one. You know, you could really make a commentary on slavery, but it was like a couple of paragraphs on the script, and that was it. They didn't really use it again.
I did think the resistance aspect though kind of like was, you know, this is like such a tightly established, it's beyond just like, you know, what we know as slavery. I mean, these people are like they're complete like all they do is fight. Like that's their only purpose is that they're, you know, they're like
but it's still
and stuff like that.
You know,
Like,
the collars of obedience and all that stuff.
All that stuff.
They did. I mean, unfortunately, the Western world was built on slavery, and it could have been so more well said, but it just didn't do it. I think if they were to do something like this today, I think you would probably get a lot more that would be said and how bad slavery is, and you know, it unfortunately still happens today. We still do have slavery in this world today.
Well, you have that moment in TNG where Guinan, I'm trying to remember the episode. I want to say it's the Hugh episode. Where Guinan
no, I think you're thinking of Measure of a Man. Measure of a Man, yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
where Guinan's talking to Picard, and the whole episode's not really about that, but then they have this one exchange that adds a whole layer of context to the episode.
Yeah,
in just that brief moment, which like in that one line of, you know, you're talking about slavery, does more than this episode. You know?
Yeah, that one line in Measure of Man is more impactful than what they tried to do in TNG.
Where this episode has literal slaves like fighting for their lives, whatever. Punch the girl, kiss her later, like yarr. 60s as fuck.
Yeah, the only other bit I want to say is, you know, when Kirk is actually talking to the brains.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the painting that they used in Devil in the Dark?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the Al Whitlock matte painting.
I'm surprised they didn't change that.
With the remaster, right?
The remaster, yeah.
The brains
they did
the
change
remaster.
So many elements of this episode are like reused from like other episodes, like that matte painting. But also, like, I was listening to like so much of the music is like recycled from other episodes, and the little daggers. There's little daggers in their back pocket or whatever. They look like the daggers from Murder. As well.
Yeah, probably. And the dome over the providers is Lazarus's spaceship top, that bubble top. That's the same.
What flavors do you think the providers were?
Yeah,
they look like they taste like Sour Patch Kids or
gummies.
Right? They look delicious.
Yeah,
definitely they're gummies.
I feel like Kirk should have broken the glass and started eating it.
That's what I told Antonia. If I was Kirk, I would just eat these brains. They look tasty. She was like, "You're weird. You're weird for thinking that."
Well, I thought of it too, so now I'm weird as well. A few comments real quick in the comment section. Just real quick, Captain RGD wants to know which is better, Red Alert, Shields Up, or Shields Up and Red Alert?
Shields Up, Red Alert.
Shields Up, Red Alert. Right?
You Red Alert automatically make shields.
Yeah. Technically, Red Alert means shields go up, but I guess it's interesting.
Yeah, it's the phrase, and it's Shields Up, Red Alert.
I think we know Earl Grey Trekkie's answer is Shields Up, Red Alert. Also, so that's cool. And then there was another question. By the way, you got a lot of praise from Braxton. Ruben, you look amazing.
Enthralling.
Enthralling. Yes. Jace is here. Hello, Jace. And Jace didn't know that Ravi has a channel, so now Jace does, which is pretty cool.
I think this is awoken something in me, by the way.
What?
So we gotta talk later, so.
Okay, we'll talk later. I'll initiate you.
I already talked to my wife about it.
Beware Cake has a wrench and will use it like a provider if you're bad. That's true. 15 qualities from McCoy to shut up. Also, you can have a wrench. I'm gonna try to get you a wrench. I thought you had you do have a wrench. Oh, cool. Okay, never mind.
I gotta say, it would have been pretty awesome if Kirk would have met the providers. And then been like, hey, Uhura, hand me that staff weapon thing. Okay, you're all free. This is really weird. We're all going home. This is really weird.
We have 15 Quatlu says Scott Sharko was a great guest on Earl Grey Trekkie's Doctor Who chat recently. Robbie was inspired, I think. Also had a great interview with Melinda Snodgrass on his channel. Oh, very cool. I love Melinda Snodgrass. I'll have to go check that one out.
Thanks. I was going to say, the provider sort of like reminded me of, I think there's a bit in the Doctor Who episode, The Keys of Madness, where there's like brain things, and sort of like Galt's like mental powers or whatever sort of was making me think of, and Force Choke was making me think of like Darth Vader's like Force Choke.
Galt was an interesting character. What did you guys think of Galt?
I thought he was great. Yeah.
He was totally the inspiration for Ming the Merciless in 1980 / Gordon.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt.
Isn't the
Yeah,
Ming the
totally-
Merciless from the 1930s the inspiration?
Yeah,
for Ming
but
the
the,
Merciless from
but the
80s?
look, the specific look from this episode, and the specific look from that Flash Gordon are like
With the
identical.
high collar.
Yeah,
Very similar.
just
It's
more
true.
production value in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't want to mention about the makeup because he looked like he's been jizzed all over, but
He's got a rough
That white
complexion.
stuff.
He
He needs some lotion. His skin looks
skin
like
is
flaky. Yeah, he needs some lotion.
Yeah,
But it works.
moisturized.
It works for him. I mean, he's really creepy. I was reading that Ruskin, Joseph Ruskin, who I always remember, he was the voice of the Canamet in the Twilight Zone episode "To Serve Man." You know, I don't know. That's a famous one where they translate the book. You know what I'm talking about. He does the voice of Canamet. He does.
Oh, that's a great episode. Yeah, we shouldn't spoil the twist. But if you've not seen
yeah,
I
The
haven't seen it, I
Served
don't
Man,
think
yeah, no, look it up and watch it. It's on. If you're in the
Okay.
States, it's on Paramount Plus. Like
Okay,
watch it. It's
cool.
a good one. It's like
oh yeah, it's a half hour too. So
yeah, like
Right.
25 minutes, and you won't regret it.
But
All right, I'll check it out.
apparently he saw some kind of traditional Russian dancing where the men and the women wore long robes or skirts or something. You couldn't see their feet, so they were kind of appearing to float. And he kind of used that with his character, where you never see his feet, and he just seems to be kind of going along like that. But I think he's very creepy and effective. Definitely a boss you'd like to get away from.
Yeah,
Well, I thought
totally.
he was a better kind of evil villain of the episode than the brain things. I was like, the brain things, really? Can it just be the dude in the cloak that's been
So how
freaky
did
the
he
whole
function?
time?
They controlled him to control everyone else. Like that was like, did he have a natural power? I guess his species maybe had a natural power and they were exploiting it. The brain things or something. It could be that because his eyes. He was the only one whose eyes lit up and did any of that. And that's one of the other lost opportunities in this episode. Is like I would have really have liked to have heard the names of the different species that we met, the new ones. It would have been cool, like to find out who they were, or for them to like tell stories of their worlds or whatever, if you will. But I guess they were brainwashed, so they probably all didn't care about where they were from anyways. So.
Literally brainwashed.
Yeah. Captain Killy is here in the house. Awesome. Hi, all. Ruben is still wearing his tribble from last week. Captain Killy, if you want to invite, let me know. I thought you were like gliding across the ropes and stuff today. It's very cool to see that.
Like-
earlier.
As like a vigilante, like she fights crime at night.
Yeah, she's
Her
pretty
grappling
cool.
hook is like.
But also his voice is like cheated with reverb as well. I think that adds to the effect. So.
Wait, sorry. You guys cut out for a second. What was that?
Oh, Galt's voice, like I was saying, like Galt's voice is treated with reverb, which I think like adds to the effect.
Oh yeah, totally. He was in a bunch of. He was like in Star Trek video games. Also, he's been on ER. He was on Alias. I didn't know he played the character. I didn't realize it was him because I remember that show, but that was cool. So, did you recognize him, Marcel, from Alias? I know you're a huge fan. He played Alan Kristoff. Just so you know.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Okay. He was on ER. Of course, he played a Vulcan master in the episode Gravity, which I don't remember. What was that episode about? In Voyager. Was he the one who taught Tuvok? Yes, that's got to be the one. Yeah, he's the one who taught Tuvok. That's right. So that's cool. That's crazy. So that was his last Star Trek. No, he was also in Enterprise as the Suliban Doctor in the pilot in the first episode. So it's cool.
Insurrection too.
Yeah, he was in Star Trek Insurrection.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Who was he in Insurrection?
He played a Sona officer. I'm surprised he didn't have a more prominent role. But maybe so he played a character in that, and then so again, like I said, he's like Star Trek royalty. I mean, in Deep Space Nine, he plays a character named Tumik, who appears in 2 episodes, and he plays an informant. So he's like also playing lots of different characters, which I really like. He's kind of like the Ken Mitchell of the original of Star Trek, not the original, but of Star Trek of old.
How many total? How many total was it?
Like it's 6 episodes and 1 movie.
And 1 movie, yeah.
So
Star Trek.
So 7 different characters. That's a lot. I think Vaughn Armstrong holds the record at 8, I believe.
Oh, really cool.
So 7 is a lot.
Yeah, it's very cool. And of course, he's got lots of other amazing credits. He was on the Snorks, which I used to watch as a kid. And
That's what he's most known for, is his role on the Snorks.
Tell me, when you played a Snork, how did you find the Snork within? I lived underwater for 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah, I think he only died a couple of years ago. He was pretty old, but I think he was active very late in his career.
Our audience wants to know from the panel how many on the panel are cat people, dog people, both. I'm both.
Dogs only.
Dogs only.
Both.
Both. Yeah.
I have a lizard. I do.
No, I know, but that's awesome. I was like, is it a one of those? What kind of lizard is it?
And then in the line, he has to answer lizard.
It's a Gorn. No, it's a bearded dragon.
I've seen the pictures of it. Now I remember. I was like, I knew
I
saw
you, man,
some
tell me the truth. Do you ever like lift it up and like fight with your fingers with it, like your Kirk?
I did post something on Twitter.
That's what I saw.
He's going at Spock, because I have a little Spock figurine from years back. Yeah, I would get him, but he's too far away right now.
We know that Dadmiral is a cat person.
Right, yeah, I'm actually both. I'm both.
Oh, cool. I mean, come on, Trek cat, right?
Yeah, that's sort of a real big giveaway, isn't it, really?
Marcelo is neither, because we learned last night on Starfleet Boy After Dark.
Yeah, don't spoil it. Make them
okay,
watch
yeah,
the,
go. Yeah, you gotta go check out. Nice, Marcelo. And Dan, what did you say?
I'm trying to work out the question, basically. Does it mean you like privately like turn into cats or dogs?
I love that.
Survival, Doctor Who absolute survival.
Yes, we're all animaguses, didn't you know?
But I would say like I really like both, but I prefer cats.
Cool, very cool. All right, 15 Quatloos. I hope that answered that question. Let's see what else. Kirk admits to the brains that he has broken the Prime Directive throughout the galaxy. That's right. Oh yeah, we have 2 shirts we want to show off, actually. So Cake wants to see your shirt first, Sub-Commander Tall. So I'm going to give you...
I bought this 91, so that's the 25th anniversary. I'm slowly going to rise, so you see
very cool.
The aesthetic for then.
That's a really good job with the slow rise.
Good pace and everything. Right?
I was like Galt.
I felt like I was scrolling.
And then Dadmiral's got a shirt too today, which is
nice.
Yeah, that's a very cool.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, cool! And
Yeah,
that's
nice
the.
aesthetic.
I've got these in a couple of colours, but they're getting a bit big, so I've got a new one, and it's the white version now.
Right on. And is that the Enterprise? What is that? The Kelvin
It's
price? No, it's actually it's the original. I see it now.
It's the original Enterprise.
Oh, it's just a little thicker with the outline. That's
cells.
what it is. Yeah, it's cool. Very nice. Very cool.
Yeah, no, I think if it was a different one, it'd have a C or a D or something here. It's just
Something
the original.
else. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And now let's see Ruben's shirt.
no, let's not.
Do a slow.
No, let's. Oh, I didn't know it goes all the way. That's cool. That's really.
Yeah.
I see now. Okay,
it's squeezing
the
a little
illusion.
too much in the wrong directions, but
There's
It's
an
all right.
illusion there. That's cool. I was like, no.
I even got my weapon ready.
I tell you what, if
How many motherfucking quad lose, bitch?
I can imagine if you went down and you went to a certain bit, you'd get Starfleet Boy doing the Kirk.
this thing, which apparently I did do, and Trek on the Tube made a cool video with my Star Trek husband. Yeah, it's white T-shirts. I take it it's hot everywhere. There's heat waves going. It's summer and it's hot all over in the north. It's really interesting. It's very hot. What is it today here in Miami? I think it's in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very hot.
Oh, you think 90s is hot?
You guys are in the hundreds.
I don't know if it's over 100 today, but
it can be. Yeah, you guys have. But
we
you guys
get a lot of days. We get a lot of days in triple digits in the summer.
But you guys have that drier heat, right? Like you don't have such a humid.
No,
heat.
it's pretty humid here.
Oh, it is. Okay, all right.
Which part of Texas are you
I'm
in?
in Austin. I'm in Austin. So
Okay.
it's not as bad as like Houston area, which is terrible. It's like a hot swamp of death and misery.
No, people have been complaining in the UK. I mean, here when in the car it said to me it was 28.5 degrees. We do Celsius, but that's 83
You
degrees.
guys and your funny math.
No, we just if we're going to use metric, we use metric. We don't pick and choose what we're going to use like they do in other countries.
like that's why y'all use kilometers instead of miles, right?
Well, we don't use kilometers.
I know. I'm judging you.
You have to go to Ireland for that. Yeah.
That's really funny. What did you guys think of Shauna?
83 right now with 75% humidity.
Oh wow!
Ooh, wow.
Over here,
But that's not as bad as like where. How is it over there, Marcella?
Yeah, it's about 82, but I didn't check the humidity. But I guarantee if I walk outside right now, I just want to go running back inside.
Yeah,
that's 28 in Celsius.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my D&D group appreciates that I use meters all the time, and I tell them it's because of Star Trek.
Yeah, it's one thing the Brits are complaining about. They complain about the weather constantly. It's either too cold or it's too hot, or it's too wet, it's too dry. If they want to complain about the weather, they will. And the amount of people that have been going on that it's too hot today and they want it to be winter are thinking, no.
I'm guilty of that.
Give me the heat. I mean, I lived in Cyprus, so I know what heat's like. So I like heat, and I much prefer it
Cyprus,
because yeah. So I would. I am. Give me the sunshine and give me heat any day.
We heard a little bit about what Sub Commander Tall thought about Shauna's character, but what did the rest of you guys think of Shauna? And is in fact Lady Gaga stealing her whole vibe?
No, it's Lady Gaga's mum. Lady Gaga's
it's Lady Gaga's mom. It's true. And so, what did you guys think of Shauna?
Well, Lady Gaga's a time traveler. She actually played Shauna. That's actually Lady Gaga. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
She just showed up with it like.
I would love to do. I would love it if Lady Gaga did like one of her music videos like with this theme, like actually recreate it. Like you'd have like dancers wearing the harnesses. She'd be wearing the thing with the green hair, the whole kit, and with the with the shiny outfit, and she's just singing and dancing. We have to petition her.
At CBS with Gaga Trek, and ask them to do a spin-off series about Shauna and what happened after this episode with Shauna played by Lady Gaga.
There you go. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Shauna
led
the planet in like.
I think she might have. She might have led the planet into its future, actually. But yeah, that's a good thing.
Wouldn't that be awesome? And like they worked them into like the Klingon War or something, or like they were pivotal because of Shauna. And it's like Lady Gaga, like, oh bitch.
Okay, they do mention the Gamesters in Lower Decks, by the way. So there's totally an opportunity in the finale. They mentioned. Captain Freeman's concerned about like Landru and like how people are, like these civilizations that we just like kind of leave behind, and they go and they fall back into their wicked ways, so to speak, right? And so she actually mentions the Gamesters. So I wonder if the Gamesters fell back into their wicked ways, or what's going on.
They
on
acknowledge
that planet.
They acknowledge this planet on Deep Space Nine also.
They do?
Times.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
We see cargo that has that triangle logo on it.
Oh,
No way.
interesting.
That's awesome.
I wonder if like 10 or 20 years after the Enterprise crew do their thing and sort people out, it's kind of like Gordon Ramsay's hell.
Wait, Trekkie, you cut
Did he
off.
freeze?
I think he's frozen.
He says, "I wonder if it was like Gordon Ramsay," and then he left. Then he cut off.
Oh. I want to know where that was
The
going.
message is breaking up.
15 Quatlus is saying Shauna was a tragic character, which is true. She had no sense of any other life and fell for a total jerk. Why couldn't Kirk take her? Because I guess the Gamesters wouldn't
I
let.
wrote that in my notes.
Yeah.
Fuck, screw the Gamesters. Beam the fucking page of their and set everybody free. What are these little brains gonna do? Like seriously.
Are you
close the
back
door
over
on
Trekkie?
Yeah. I was just going to. So I was just a kind of a joke. I was just saying. I wonder if 20 years after Kirk and Co have kind of helped planets to become better, it kind of works out like Hell's Kitchen, the Gordon Ramsay show, where he is really trying to help these restaurants get back to fixing themselves, and then 5 or 10 years later they're all bust.
They have to send in.
You know what I would have done if I were Kirk?
That's amazing.
Just taken black spray paint and spray painted the dome of the brains, and be like, "All right, we're done."
It is cool that I didn't know about the references in Deep Space Nine. It would be cool to visit, and it would be cool to see Shauna again. And Lady Gaga should totally play Shauna. I think that would be an amazing thing. Anyone else have thoughts on Shauna?
I think one of the best scenes.
Sorry, I guess. Sorry, Dadmiral first.
I thought one of the best scenes was right at the end when she said that she will learn, she will go to the stars, the sparkly bits in the sky. I thought that was basically one of the best scenes was right at the very end.
Hashtag Shauna Trek. Come on, Kurtzman.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga, let's do this.
They parody that conversation that Kirk has with her, where he talks about Earth is just it just looks like a speck of light in the sky, but that's a place where men and women can love each other and live together and help each other. They parody that in South Park. Like the exact same conversation, like almost verbatim. There's a lot of original series references in South Park.
Well, the Simpsons does the fight scene. I know Homer fights like the Kirk scene. There's an old Simpsons that they do that.
Oh,
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Robbie?
I think I liked Shauna more than a lot of the kind of damsels in distress. I thought she was interesting, the position she was put in. I don't think the actress was great, but I didn't really mind too much. I didn't like how. I don't want to seem like I'm whining because I didn't come out when I wasn't here when TOS came out, so I don't want to kind of whine on how hands-on Kirk is. But I felt it was quite wrong that at the end, when she implied she wanted to go with Kirk on the Enterprise. I mean, who would want to stay on that planet?
Yeah, especially like he like definitely made her feel love. He was like saying love is the greatest thing, and like he was that whole spiel, and so he opened her up to that, and then he dumps her like in the same episode. It's like kind of like
the classic kind of macho hero guy.
I know. Yeah,
rides off into the sunset.
So cool, you.
Kirk's just like.
Yeah. She can get together with Galt. It'll be fine.
Or the Andorian who survived.
Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't survive.
No,
he died.
I don't
He
think-
died.
yeah.
He died. It's true.
No, they have a little free society where they all wear their harnesses and hey.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, time for maybe a musical Star Trek. The Andorian has survived this long by getting himself injured and replaced. Oh, he was injured instead of killed. That's right. No, he was. That's right. Because
Kirk
Shauna
flipped him.
Shauna replaces him. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Shauna came on.
There's a line of dialogue in the teaser I find really funny when Scott says there was no flash of light to do with the disappearance. So I thought to myself, like, it's not enough that they just like vanished. Like he needs to be like really dramatic. Like
I did like that sound though, that bang sound whenever or whatever. And like the other thing that I really loved, we haven't talked enough about the Enterprise scenes, I think, but the other thing I really loved was when Spock is like, "What do you mean, Mr. Scott? Like, did they not transport in the usual way or whatever?
Yeah.
And Scotty's like,
Of course I don't.
Of course,
Yeah.
he's so sassy. He's like, I wouldn't be calling you if it went normal and they dematerialized. And I thought that was like really great. Someone sassed Spock back, but Spock gets a point later on when McCoy is like, isn't compassion or something, isn't hope a human failing? And he's like, well, when one's been around these influences, they can be corrupted or something. I forget what he says.
Yeah, he's very smart ass Spock in this episode.
It's very smart. Even the suggestion of mutiny, that was funny. He's like, well, gentlemen, like, are you guys saying there's gonna be a mutiny? And they're all like, we're not saying that. Come on, Spock, don't be unreasonable. It's like, it was really funny.
There's a lot of stuff going on there with Spock and Scotty and McCoy.
Yeah.
I think
Spock's learned a bit more.
Sorry, go ahead, Ruben.
How the dynamics changed, because like all I kept thinking was like, hey McCoy, go to sickbay. You're a doctor. You have nothing to do with what's going on the bridge. And Scotty, go to the freaking engineering room. Shut the hell up. You have nothing to do with what's going on here. Like,
they're really concerned because it is unusual that he abandons the search on the planet, which would be the most likely location. But yeah, it was a little too crazy, like, because there were pretty good clues that this lead would lead to something, even though it was also like a shot in the dark. No Star Trek reference intended. Wait, no, shot in the dark is not Star Trek. That's the Pink Panther.
I was about to say, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I was talking about the Pink Panther. I was thinking of something else in the dark, which I don't know what I was thinking of.
Spock always gets pushed back when he's in command, though, and often a little unfairly too, I think.
Yeah, it's true.
I like that he's learnt a bit more. He can sass him a bit now.
Yeah,
Whereas before,
he's been a little passive aggressive.
He sort of he gives it back now. Whereas before he couldn't do that. So I think he's learnt a bit from probably Kirk, and with the time there, especially sort of like the Galileo 7 and things like that, where they were always at him, and it just got to the point you think, okay, just tell him to fuck off or something like that. But he actually does in his own way now, and I quite like that dynamic that's changed in Spock.
Yeah, a little bit in the Tholian Web, and there's another third season one too, sort of where he's anyway. But yeah, I agree.
In Native American one, this not this side of Paradise Syndrome.
Yeah, they're pushing back on him there, and he kind of holds his own. Yeah. But it's interesting. He's just a better character when he's around Kirk. I mean, they're a better combination than either one of them separate.
It makes me want to see more.
McCoy, it was too much.
It makes me want to see more McCoy and Scotty like together. Like we kind of see them like united in this episode.
Yeah.
It's like I kind of wish there were more scenes of, like the two of them. Actually, I think that's something that they probably, because they do kind of expand Scotty in season 3. They put him in every episode. If there had been like a season 4, maybe there would have been like more moments of like Scotty and McCoy doing stuff together.
Yeah. No, I always like the few times they're even in an episode as bad as like the Turnabout Intruder, when they're like preparing to vote against Captain Kirk with Janice Lester in his body. I mean, just their interactions together, or in Star Trek 4 when they're in the whatever it is, the plastic kind of factory. I like those two actors together.
Yeah, they could like compare whiskey. Like Scotty is more of a Scotch dude, and then McCoy's a bourbon dude.
Yeah, 100%.
I thought it's also like interesting. This episode was written by Margaret Armand, because she also wrote the Lorelei Signal for the animated series, which is the episode. It's sort of like doing, I guess, like taking Uhura in I guess like for a different context or whatever. Because in this one, it seems to be implied that she's raped, but in the Lorelei Signal, she takes command of the Enterprise. Yeah, I'm sure that's the one.
And she also wrote the Fish People episode of the animated series. That word I can never remember how to say from Moby Dick. Ambergris. What is it?
Ambergris.
Yeah.
Ambergris, I think.
Ambergris. Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, interesting. Can't wait to get to those episodes of the animated series. 15 Quatlu says, Spock solves every mystery, give the man room to work. Well, He is a descendant from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle somehow, so he must have read all the Sherlock Holmes novels when he was a kid. So that's pretty cool. He does say an ancestor of mine maintains if you eliminate the.
I've got one question for everybody. What do you think the exchange rate is for Quatloos?
It's terrible right now.
I think Quatloos. I think someone should hop on this and create the next digital currency and call it Quatloos, like Bitcoin.
We do not need another cryptocurrency.
We need another crypto. In fact, William Shatner, I think, is into crypto. Maybe his crypto could be called Quatloos. I think this is like a huge opportunity. Ruben's like, oh yeah, actually.
Yeah,
like,
that's what a lot of influencers are. A lot of influencers are pumping and dumping those. They'll like tell like all of their followers, be like, hey, you really need to invest in this, and then they'll be like, okay, I'm going to sell all of it now that the value is going up.
I'm a sucker for this. I would
stay away from that. Stay away from crypto, y'all.
I would try to buy one Quatloo though. I would want to have it just to have a Quatloo, you know, like just to say like there's a Quatloo in my digital wallet. Like that would
then
be.
I feel like you have to make like a Latinum one just so you can say you have some Latinum.
Oh, yeah, Latinum is another great idea for a digital currency. Oh my gosh, it's so totally wonderful.
Yeah, I was wondering if you think like Quatloos can be exchanged for Latinum.
Yeah, they might be.
Or,
I like
or
that.
Navy beans.
I wonder if someone's done the exchange rate on Star Trek currencies versus today's currencies, but I imagine one Quatloo is probably worth $1 billion US.
EC Henry has a video on that.
Cool.
He basically used like the value of root beer on Deep Space Nine to figure out the value of Latinum.
That's amazing.
So check out EC Henry's Latinum video.
EC Henry is awesome. Shout out to that channel. I also he just like goes real deep and like finds out, like I had no idea that like the Enterprise D had so much empty space until I saw his video about what 1,000 people actually would look like on the hull.
That's one of the reasons why I don't like it. I don't like the Enterprise D because it's too damn big.
You're like, yeah, like why do you need to make the Enterprise J after that? Like it's
I can kind of talk about that because I've been on a lot of cruises, and I've been on every size ship. I've been on ships from 5,000 people to 800 people. And I've thought about this a lot because I knew about this. I knew the size, how much space there was compared to how many people were on the D. But it makes sense because they're in space all the time. That's a floating city for them. That's everything to them. It has all their entertainment, has all their facilities, all their exercise, all their
storage. I guess you get to storage
everything. You know, it has the arboretum or whatever it's called. It has all that stuff. So like that's what kind of takes up the room. And you need.
It's still a bit luxurious, though. I feel
it's
like.
Not. Remember, the D is not meant to just
the 1701.
The D is not like the Defiant that just gets sent on a mission straight to the mission. You know.
It's true. They hold diplomat. Yeah, they're hosting diplomatic things and stuff like that too. It is the flagship.
It kind of makes sense why it's so big for so many.
But all of the Galaxy class starships are that big, so it's crazy, and they're pretty formidable in a battle too. Apparently, actually they're not. They all kind of get blowed up.
They use them a lot in Deep Space Nine and the Dominion War. This is because like they had like good CGI models of the Galaxy class, but they showed up a lot.
Is he the guy who figured Quark sold his bar to Rom for $1.5 million? Father, is that the same idea?
Yeah, that sounds like it. The value of the bar might have been in there.
I would have thought Quark's bar would have been worth a little bit more. Any other final thoughts on this episode before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on the episode.
Awesome, share them, please.
I feel like there's a lot of potential in this one, but I think this is where we kind of transition into the second half of TOS out of the first half, and really like right off the bat in this episode, I think you can kind of feel the absence of Gene Coons, and that I think the script could have easily been punched up and become something that was much more memorable if this had been something they had done in early season 2 or in season 1. But yeah, just when I watch it, like there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of like neat ideas, but they don't really like gel together as perfectly as some of those early stories, and so I think it is kind of missing something. But I still think that, in a way, it is kind of a good example of the original series. It's just not like the greatest example, but a lot of your TOS trappings, your standard trappings, your colorful sets, your big action. Some people get mad when like Star Trek tries to do action these days. But like, no, the original series loved action. They just didn't have as good of choreography back then. But the escalation of stakes, the big like melodrama, the seductive Kirk, the detective Spock, the grumpy McCoy, the frantic Scotty, like all of those things are here. I guess we don't get any Sulu. So
yeah, but you're right. Very cool.
The hapless Chekhov.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. Did he do a Chekhov scream in this one?
There's no screaming. Well, they could have switched the Uhura scene and the Chekhov scene.
Oh, interesting. That would have been interesting.
That would have been cool.
Take, yeah.
Yeah, that might have actually worked better.
Yeah, I think so, actually. Robbie?
I feel like it's quite ridiculous that, at least to me, Kirk seems more interested in flirting with Shauna than actually helping her. And then he leaves her at the end, just like it's nothing.
It's a sailor's life. I think it's just like, no,
Just
I'm
another
just kidding. I'm not
hole
gonna
in another area code.
I'm not going to defend
For
him.
Kirk.
No. But it Kirk does, in this one, it did hurt me a little that Kirk leaves her behind. I think Jill mentioned earlier that why couldn't he just take anyone who wanted to go back to their home worlds or whatnot, now that they're essentially freed, and they don't have to wear their collars, one would imagine that they could do whatever.
But hadn't they been there for weren't these the descendants of people that they had
that
taken?
That is implied, right? Because
so...
Shauna's parents were born on the planet, she says, right?
Yeah, I think it's a big if, but if you think the providers are going to be true to their word and, help move these people from thraldom to some sort of independent society, then it's perhaps not a terrible decision to have her stay there. Rather than bring her back to a planet where she has no firsthand knowledge of. But
and I'm a Spurker, so I will just say that the true reason is because he already has his
space husband.
Yeah, he already has a space husband, and he had to resort to desperate measures, and so that's why he was faking his affections for Shauna, was because it was all part of buying time to get off the planet, to get the Enterprise to find them, because he knew Spock. There was no way Spock was not gonna, search for him, and he knew Spock would never give up. So he was like, "Sorry, Shauna, gotta go. See ya, deuces." Anyone else with some closing thoughts? And I guess we could just give our ratings if not.
I thought
it took me years to work out if the thrall assigned to Chekhov was either a woman or a man in drag.
I think that the actor is definitely a female. I have to look it up again, but I think the actor is definitely female. I don't know what their intention was. I feel it. I don't know what their intention was with the voice, other than to make her seem alien in some way. But that was a voice that was kind of like, modulated in such a way that like there's a suggestion of androgyny, and there's also just like, it would have been cool though if there was something behind it. But I think that's just us being modern folks, like looking a little too deep.
Well,
into
I like
it.
to think that the inspiration for that, however it came about, was due to somebody's nightlife, and that's what they suggested at the production meeting. And people were like, they don't know any better. They don't know drag queens. But this guy does. And he was like, hey, how about she looks like this? And everybody's like, whoa, that's cool. And he's like, yeah.
I could see that look on
Drag
Race. I could see that look on Drag Race.
I'm pretty sure that it is like referred to like in the script. I can't remember precisely what it says, but it's implied. And also remembering like,
okay, cool.
And she is Also, I'm remembering like androgyny was basically part of Star Trek ever since like the Cage with the Telosians as well.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I like that, except for Chekhov's reaction. I didn't like his reaction. I didn't think it was correct for a future person. I think he would have been like more open and stuff like that. I give this episode. Like, I'm having a tough time, like, by the way, Dan, we do a rating from 1 to 10. The ratings don't really mean anything, but we just do it from our guts, like at the end of every episode. And I always go first because one of my friends doesn't believe that he thinks my rating will change if everyone else goes first. So I always get the privilege, I suppose, of establishing the first one. I'm gonna give this episode a 6 because I liked it, but it's not like one that I would necessarily go back and watch again, except for the harness. Like that's about the only thing that I would go back to watch this for, and so that's about it. But I liked again a lot of the concepts. It was great in concept, just it failed for me in execution from being a great Star Trek episode. But I do agree with Fathery that it does have everything. It has all the ingredients are there, and it is a very Star Trek of this era, of this second half, as you say, with the colors and everything like that, representative of what Star Trek is. So so 6 for me. Marcelo, take it away.
I would give this episode a 3 because I didn't particularly like the way it was written. Again, I understand when it came out, but I think, like you and Father, I think like this episode had so much potential, but it seemed like to me like the writers just didn't want to go there. They didn't want to bother going that extra mile of actually trying to say something. So yeah.
Ian.
6 Quatloos.
6. I should have done 6 Quatloos for me too. I forgot about the I keep forgetting about the Quatloos.
I think everything your Father said, Marcelo said. It's got everything, but it just doesn't quite deliver. It's got it all, and it could have said. It could have said so much more about some meaningful topics, but they just glossed over it. You've got, as we've said, the rape, we've got slavery, we've got all those type of things, and it's just side notes, as opposed to really they should be the bits that drive the episode on, but they don't. So yeah, that's what it is for me.
Cool. Dan, what's it for you?
I agree with 15 Quatloos for McCoy to shut up, which is sad. I'd rate there's 3 glowing brains. But also, I would think when you're speaking about sort of portrayals of slavery and stuff like that, for starters, it was basically reminding me of a few ideas that were considered for production in Star Trek, but then never produced. One of which was that they would come to a planet where the slave masters were black and they were keeping white slaves. I thought that sounded maybe like a potentially more interesting idea.
A story in black and white.
Season.
Yeah. They kicked that around for a while, but they never made that happen. Although you can kind of argue that second or that TNG episode in the first. No, I guess it's different, but Code of Honor.
Oh, Code of Honor is terrible for other reasons.
Yeah, it's terrible for other reasons.
It's been mentioned in the chat as well.
EGT.
Lots of great ideas in this episode. I quite like. I think even just slavery as a sport is really interesting. But yeah, the way it's executed, I don't like. I don't like episodes which seem like they set out to deliver something, but they don't. I think I have to give it a 1. And I know that probably seems harsh. It's not the most boring episode. I don't think I can treat it well for not dealing with any of the subject matter in the episode particularly well for me.
Wow, I think it's your lowest rating on a TOS episode so far, if I recall correctly.
It's not the most boring episode.
But you won't be. You just didn't like it. It's just not your bag.
You may want to hold off on the ones till we get to next season. But
save a few of those ones.
Sub-Commander.
Yeah, I'll get this in, and my power is flickering now.
I know. I saw that. That was crazy.
Yeah, we've got another huge cell of thunderstorm ahead of. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm thinking in the context of TOS of okay, 1 to 10 is the range. You know, I'd probably give this about a 4. I mean, you guys are kind of selling me on the idea that the ideas and the concept behind it were interesting and the execution was bad. But you know, it's hard for me to resist just how I felt growing up when I would watch this episode and kind of groan, and just there were so many scenes in it that seemed kind of cringeworthy to me. So I'll go with a 4, but you know, I'll still watch this over And the Children Shall Lead. So yeah, 4 it is for me.
How about you, Thal? And be careful, if you give the wrong answer, we'll have to punish you.
Let me tell you, man, Triskelion was not a fun place, but they do feed you good. So I'd rather be there than watch this episode. No, as you know, I love all TOS because it was the only Star Trek I had for the first 11 years of my life. So I kind of have just a soft spot for every episode of TOS. But this episode it's like backing up what Admiral said. Like it's kind of like, and what Father said too, that it has all the things, but it's nothing. You know what I mean? It ends up being kind of nothing, and it's disappointing because there's so much there. And what I kept thinking when I was watching it today was, I was like, you know what? If Strange New Worlds took this concept and did it now, that would be killer. Yeah. They could really do something awesome with it. And I could totally see that happening. Like, supposedly they're going to do these self-contained episodes or whatever. So,
wow, do I hear a little hype in you from you for a new Star Trek series? Wow!
Well, I hope you guys enjoy it.
I feel
but what I was also
someone might be secretly watching. That's interesting.
When Father gave his distillation, I was like, man, around that time I was going to give it like a 4. But then he gave his distillation of it. And I was like, man, that was better than the actual episode. And I'm like, so I'm going to give it like a 3, 3.5.
Oh, wow.
3.77.
3.74. Okay. Father, take us out with your rating.
I give it 1 blue and yellow triangle out of 1 trinary star system. I don't know. I don't. The rating is so arbitrary to me. Yeah, I feel like if you want to know what I think about it, just listen to the
discussion,
all the comments I said over the last hour and 17 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna guess that's like at least a 3 of the Triskelion.
The number 3 comes up a lot. Yeah, on Triskelion. 3 brains, 3 stars. The triangle.
It was cool that it was a trinary star system, and yeah, that is interesting that there was all these like 3
three couples.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about number 3. I would just rather end on asking people to consider: was this the first TV episode to establish the trope of heroes being captured and forced to compete in like gladiatorial games? Because that shows up in a bunch of TV shows.
Stuff, yeah.
Like I see it all the time. Like I remember it, in the 90s, seeing that on the Buffy spinoff Angel and thinking, oh, this is like the Gamesters of Triskelion. Like it shows up in a bunch of like superhero stuff. It happened on like Smallville and a lot of, I'm sure like the Arrowverse has done it. So, and it was probably like an old pulpy idea. There's probably something that was done in like some old like 30s or 40s, pulp story. But yeah, was this the first time it happened on TV? So
that's an interesting idea.
At least something from it would have some staying power, if that's the case.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
They use it again in TOS as well, don't they? That's still to come. You've still got that to come again.
Voyager uses it. 7 of 9 has to learn how to fight from the rock.
It's like a genre
in Voyager.
It's a genre trope, a fantasy kind of.
They sort of do it in Bread and Circuses, and it's sort of behind Arena, Arena, which was, when he's meant to fight the Gorn, but I think this is the classic example.
Yeah, it's a trope really. They took from Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, didn't they? The Buster Crab feel, the black and whites that they brought into Star Trek, because it was always Flash or Buck Rogers that had to fight to save the world and everything else.
I miss the Gil Gerard Buck Rogers series. I hope that someone reimagines Buck Rogers. It was pretty cool.
That's been going on. They've been trying to do that over the last couple of years, and it keeps falling flat on its face. But they are trying at the moment.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me another Saturday. This was really fun. I didn't expect this discussion to go on so long, so it was pretty awesome. The Scotch Trekker said he had to go, so thanks for and thought it was an excellent discussion. So LLOP from the Scotch Trekker, Dan, go check him out on his channel, the Scotch Trekker, same name, and also on Twitter you can find him as the Scotch Trekker. Everyone, check out this wonderful panel's different endeavors. You can find Sub Commander Tall on Twitter. As Sub Commander Tall. And you can find Fathery on Text Trek. Fathery, you had a really cool. I haven't had a chance. It was my first Text Trek that I missed being in the live chat on yesterday, and I'm gonna watch.
I doubt it was
the
first. I doubt it was the first.
The live chats. You haven't had live chats for
okay.
a long.
I was say,
your classic episode.
You were consistent for 147, and then you missed 148.
No. I'm just saying your live chat ones. I feel like I've been to all of them. I feel like if
the Cal Ripken of
unless you do.
chat.
There were probably some daytime things or whatever that when I'm at work. But if it's a TQIF affair, I always try to go. But anyways, I missed it. But I know it was probably an awesome discussion, so everyone go check that out. You got to tell us a little bit about it. You got to interview.
We had writers. the writers from right down the road from me in San Antonio, but Jack Trevino and Tony Marbury. They had the story by credits on 2 Deep Space Nine season 4 episodes. Indiscretion, it's the one that introduced Gol Dukat's daughter, Tora Zial, and also Little Green Men. Very memorable episode where Quark, Rom, and Nog become the Roswell aliens. And so I got to talk to them about those stories. Also, they pitched a lot of stories to Star Trek through the open submission process that Michael Piller had during Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. So I got to hear about some of the story ideas they came up with, some of the stuff they came up with for other shows, and also a Deep Space Nine episode that they sold to DS9, but it was never actually developed. So a lot of really cool insight from the two of them, and that's available now. And then next week on Friday, I'll have a live discussion talking about the Star Trek news out of San Diego Comic-Con. So that'll be streaming Friday at 7:30 Central PM.
When is Comic-Con? It's Tuesday or this? When is it happening?
Friday. It'll be earlier that day. It'll be the panels from earlier. Comic-Con at home. They're doing it all virtually, but yeah, they're doing panels on Star Trek Prodigy and Star Trek Lower Decks, our 2 current animated Star Trek shows. So I'll be breaking that down and discussing it Friday night, a few hours after the panel. So it'll all be like very new, very breaking news.
Oh, cool. I happen to be off this Friday, so it's exciting. I'll be able to watch the panels. I didn't realize it was the same day. That's very cool. I am excited about that San Diego Comic-Con at home, and also all the other. There's a ton of stuff that's starting to come out. If you want to see it on last night on Starfleet Boy After Dark, we talked about like the AR wall image and the transporter room, reported or purported transporter room image from Strange New Worlds. So it's very cool. Can't wait to hear that. What have you got going on, EGT?
Just another Doctor Who discussion. We'll be talking about the Runaway Bride. I think it's just me and you because
right on.
Brian's busy.
He's in Alaska.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's visiting his home planet of Alaska.
His home planet of Alaska. Yeah, it's true.
As featured in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country.
It's true.
by the B unit. I don't think Shatner and McCoy got up there. Shatner and Kelly got up there, but
very cool. So check out Earl Grey Trekkie by the same name on the channel and on Instagram, but also on Facebook. You've got 2 groups, a Doctor Who group and a Star Trek group. Can you tell everyone about those?
So basically, I have a Star Trek group called Trek Talk. It's basically just a place to share Star Trek information, usually shared from Trek movie and other kind of places like that. Star Trek memes, Star Trek quotes, that kind of thing.
I love your Star Trek quotes, by the way. I know you work hard to make those, and you put one out or more than one sometimes every day, and it's really awesome because I get inspired by reading them. So thanks for doing those.
It's not difficult. I've just got a wee kind of template picture, and then I put the text in. But
Well, it's still it looks like you put some work into it, so that's good. I'm glad it's easy. Yeah, so check those Facebook groups out if you're on Facebook. I think Text Trek also has a Facebook group, right? And
yeah,
Starfleet Boy
we
has
have
one too.
1,400 followers in our Facebook group.
Oh
so
wow, nice.
everyone should follow Text Trek on Facebook.
Yes. Starfleet Boy also has a Facebook in case anyone wants to follow it. I don't know how many followers we have, but I think it's like somewhere in the 600s, but it's pretty
You don't post in it very often.
I know, I don't. I need to do better. I dare you to do better, Starfleet
Discord is super active.
Your father had 800 followers in less than 3 minutes.
Your father
I dare you to do better.
Your father has 1,600 followers.
That's perfect.
Dadmiral, what's going on? How are you? And what's the channel up to? You guys back?
Well, yeah, no, the YouTube channel's taken a back burner for a little while. I'll probably start when it's more winter again. So
and
yeah,
you got a move coming up and a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I've got a move. I've got a few things coming up. So yeah, I'll be moving next month. Fingers crossed. But yeah, it's just Instagram and Twitter. As I said, you won't get me on Facebook, so sorry, I won't follow you guys. There's just no way on God's green earth that I'll ever go on Facebook.
It's so funny to me. Some people will never go on Twitter, and other people will never go on Facebook.
It's just something I won't do. But no, I follow you all on the other bits. So yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here. Marcelo, what's going on in your universe?
Yeah, well, I have 2 podcasts. One of them is called Radio 815, and it's a podcast dedicated to J.J. Abrams' Greater Universe. And I also have a personal podcast. It's called the Red Wall Podcast. The Red Wall Podcast is actually a couple weeks from wrapping its 3rd season. So if you guys want to know more about my personal life and more how my mind works, you can go there. Or if you want to know how much I adore J.J. Abrams and his extended universe, you can go to Radio 815. Or if you want to see more of my face, you can check out my YouTube channel. I'm at Balloon Head Productions.
Yep. And you can find most of these guys, some of these guys on Starfleet Boy After Dark. I'm like, wait, no, not most of these guys. But yeah, so thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, audience. As always, it was such an awesome turnout today and lots of good questions. I'm sorry if we couldn't get to them all. Live long and prosper, and we will see you next